Hi, my name is Karen Lee, and I know what a lot of you are thinking. I must talk to a lot of managers. But as blessed as I am to have the name Karen, fortunately, I don't. Reality is I don't like to attract attention. I get nervous about public recognition, and as you've probably guessed, I try not to talk in front of big crowds. You actually might know my daughter, Lily, she's back there, more than me. She's one of the babies that you see getting passed around between Minyoung, Priska, and Jiwon each week. So when Sunny asked me if I would speak about VBS on Mission Celebration Sunday, I knew God was on the move, because my immediate reaction was not, no, or I'll pray about it, and then never respond. The final confirmation was listening to Alexis's testimony a couple weeks ago. Hearing her talk about all the amazing memories she made during VBS, I knew God wanted me to share my perspective as well. I have been volunteering with VBS Decorations at the Garden for 4 years now, 3 as a planner. For some background, my previous church was a small one, so prep work often functioned as a huge bonding experience as well. It was a pretty big transition for me to find out that was not necessarily the case here. While we did have a modest share of volunteers, I often found myself missing close-knit fellowship of late-night prep sessions, brainstorming, laughing, and just being together. My hope was that if more people came to help, we would build that sense of community and tap into even greater potential for decorations. This year, decorations felt a little different from the get-go. It actually started off a bit rough. There was a bit of a mix-up since VBS started later this year, and the timing clashed with other missions. Things got a little disorganized, and I ended up joining late. But it was a blessing in disguise because we had Jules join the planning team. However, getting a group of creative minds together can be a bit of a balancing act. Everybody naturally has their own vision of how things should go. Donnie, Jules, and I had a running joke about how the 3 of us approach decorating. Jules, what is good? Donnie, what is possible? And me, what is easiest? After service one Sunday, our team met up to map out the hallway designs, and we were struggling to see eye to eye. I left feeling rather heavy-hearted and about a number of things. First, everyone brought such inspiring ideas, but our small volunteer crew meant we just simply couldn't do it all. We had to be honest about what we could realistically accomplish. Remember what looks good, what is possible, and what is easiest? We had to find a middle ground, and each of us had a different idea of what was priority. Second, I was starting to feel a little bit disappointed that decoration had shifted into more of a production than an opportunity to serve and connect as a church family. To be totally honest, the next part, I copied and pasted text I sent to a friend while trying to process it all. Partly because I currently have mommy brain, which is why I'm reading directly, and I can't remember, but also how God responded. The meeting felt extra discouraging because to me, VBS Decorations was a way for me to get to know people I don't usually talk to, in a setting that I'm comfortable with and enjoy. But we were getting caught on details that shouldn't even matter in the big picture. I kept saying that this is for the kids, and that decorations are supposed to be a space where people can serve and get to know one another. Yes, we need to make the church look nice, but in my eyes, that's a very slight secondary thing. Decoration prep should be a time to foster community and the shared desire to serve. I'd love for people to walk in and say, wow, the church really came together and made this for the kids. I helped with that, how cool. I know this all sounds very idealistic since there are limited resources and a time limit to get everything done. My hope is that one day, the main goal would be to promote community and fellowship, even if it takes a few years to get there. I had a lot of thoughts about the volunteers too. What if people aren't coming out to decorations because they feel like it's an elitist thing, that they don't have the experience or they aren't artistic enough to serve? When we should be encouraging them to come out and learn something they don't usually do. Maybe they'll discover they're actually really good at cutting out leaves or twisting vines. It felt like the enemy was trying to attack us and tear us down before VBS had even started. I ended the conversation with this exact phrase. I'll work with it, but it just feels a little disappointing this year. There's still time though, maybe it'll get better. And then God answered every single one of those concerns, line by line, right off the page of the text that I had typed out. Everything I was disheartened about, God stepped in and said, I will show you what I can do. The things I thought would take years to build up, God said, believe in me and I will make it happen. And I will make it happen now. And look what happened. Look how many people showed up. And not just one day, but all week. What looks good, what is possible, and what is easiest, we got to check off all 3 of those. We didn't need a bunch of artistic people. Well, we needed some. But we needed people with the willingness and the heart to learn and try. And look how amazing everything turned out. If we didn't have the hands to cut the leaves, to make lily pads, to turn a bunch of Easter eggs into ants, we never would have gotten the level of detail that brought this VBS to life. The ideas that we thought were just going to be ideas that were scrapped because of lack of manpower, were made real just because people came to see what they could help with. I got to see people find out that they were really good at hanging leaves, or tracing animals, or painting trees. I don't think I've ever heard Donnie say, "We're running out of things for the volunteers to do," before. I kept hearing, "Wow, the amount of detail is so amazing. It looks so good." It looked amazing because each person put in the effort to help, and that made time for us to do more. It could not have been achieved by a handful of people alone, but it really did take the church. And on VBS Sunday, I got to hear people actually say, "Hey, I helped make that." My heart was so full watching people of different generations, new members, old members, people who normally would never converse with each other, talking, laughing, connecting. Isn't this year's theme the church after God's heart? I tangibly felt that during Decorations Week. We had a common goal, and we came together to achieve it. And of course, our main audience, the kids. Multiple people have said that this year, VBS felt different. The kids were excited to be there. I was actually watching from the back with Lily and got to hear all of them very enthusiastically screaming, "Wow, God," each day. And you know what it is? We gave them our best, so it felt the best. We set the tone from the get-go. The kids might not think, "Wow, look at all the effort the volunteers put into this," but they can definitely feel it. They can feel our community in those decorations. They can feel the love poured into it, and it started their VBS journey on a wonderful note. And full circle moment, it gave away to Alexis's testimony, which in turn, I'm sure touched a lot of your hearts. So to those who say that decorations aren't for them, it is. It's an opportunity to come and fellowship and meet people in a fun setting. Even if you can only stop by for a day or an hour, it's a chance to connect with others and become closer to the body of God. I'd love to see VBS decorations become an opportunity to serve and fellowship each year, not just this one. So I hope to see you next year and have the chance to work together, fellowship together, and continue turning this church into something incredible. God bless.